Hello, how is it going? This we have here is not the kind of content that you are expected to see from me, if you know who I am. But here it is, Francisco reporting here for the Ice Crew, and I wanted to share with you this pretty sweet deck that I actually have been winning a reasonable amount with. So of course, this is historic. This is historic, and I mean, if you know who I am, again, you know about this guy right here. Elvis Reclaimer has been a pet card of mine basically for the past. I mean, since it was printed, but it's been more apparent since in the last like 6 months or something, where I've basically been just slamming reclaimers left and right. So I heard about historic, being reclaimer being legally historic. So I'm like, let's give it a shot. What would that deck look like? And this is what I could come up with. Basically, what we're looking at here, this is something that basically started off with it was when Aspiring Spike was trying out different decks and brewing different decks for the latest Pro Tour, which was historic. So he came up with a deck similar to this, but he kind of abandoned it. But of course, that's where I picked it up. And I don't really play that much Arena, which is the reason why I don't stream Arena. I basically have spent a grand amount of $0 on my Arena collection, and I don't intend on spending any money at all. So these are the cards that I think I'm not missing any cards per se for the deck, but this is kind of like the cards that I have to, and I'm to an extent I am playing with the cards that I have. But I think there are just no other cards that I would like to add to the deck. But this is what the list looks like. I have been kind of fine tuning and trying different stuff, like shaving a card here and there, and then like making adjustments as needed. This is definitely a very preliminary version of this deck. I want to throw that out there. It's not like I have been testing this deck for like 6 months or something. Like I've been testing this deck. Probably I have like 20 matches with this deck under my belt. Like I basically play like 1 or 2 matches of Arena or something like that. So it's not, I don't really play enough to have tuned this deck to a point where I'm like, yeah, I mean, this is like the next big thing or anything like that. But I have been in, even with this like very small amount of playing happening, I still have been able to do some considerable amount of winning. Of course, bear in mind that because I don't play enough, I'm like platinum. I don't know, like platinum, diamond, like whatever it is. I think I recently went up to. I'm Diamond Tier 4. There you go. So that's what it is. But this is what the deck looks like. Let me go over it real quick. Number one, this is a Reclaimer deck with a bunch of different lands. Okay, we don't have anything broken like we do in Modern. Like it's not like our Reclaimer is going to be fetching for Valakuts, and it's not that it's going to be fetching for Field of the Dead. Like all of those cards are either not legal or straight up banned. So those are not options that we have available to us. But we still managed to get a reasonable amount of value. The only difference basically between Modern and this version of the deck is that in this format, the 2 mana actually mattered more because you are not really, like we are not really holding up the mana. And the land entering the battlefield tapped has also been relevant because we have so much stuff to do. So in this deck specifically, Knight of the Reliquary, which is legal in Historic, when I was definitely excited when I heard about that. Knight of the Reliquary is actually better than Reclaimer. So in this deck, the Reclaimer actually acts as a Reclaimer, as Knight of the Reliquary's number 5 and 6, because like this card is really good at this deck. So let me go over everything real quick. So Naya Reclaimer grows very quickly. We have access to Fabled Passage. We have access to Ghost Quarter, where we can Ghost Quarter ourselves. That's why we see that we have a very high amount of basics in this deck. We have 9 basics that we can go fetch, both with Fabled Passage, and again, Ghost Quartering yourself happens a lot, both to get failure retreat triggers, which is kind of like the all-star of the deck. It allows you to do a lot of very cool tricks because of course if you can read, you can figure out that for whatever random reason, Failure Retreat gives the creatures vigilance. So very often you find yourselves in situations where you're able to set up lethal because you play a land, you give your creatures, particularly Naya Reclaimer and Reclaimer, you give them vigilance, and then you get to attack, and in combat before damage you get to fetch your lands, and you also get all of those triggers for Failure Retreat, which makes your dudes even bigger. And I have won on turn 4 a pretty reasonable amount of the time, and then I have also won games where I just was pretty far behind on board, and I stabilized at like 2 or 3 life, and then like we just get so many triggers of Failure Retreat in a single turn that you just assemble an entire army out of nowhere, and then you just turn those guys sideways, or not if you're giving them vigilance, and you swing for lethal from your opponent being at like 26 or something like that. It's pretty cool, if I'm being honest. In fact, the other day something came up where my opponent had Seal Away. I was playing against Blue-White Controller, my opponent had Sealed Away, which was just absolutely delightful. They couldn't seal away my knight because it had vigilance. It was awesome. Anyway, so the reason that we're like ghost squatting ourselves and stuff like that, it's because we have access to a couple of copies of Ramineb Excavator. This card actually has been very impressive. You're basically never ghost squatting your opponent. There are very few matchups where they basically don't play any basics at all. Mostly the colorless ramp deck, that's like the big one that plays like very few basics. And Giant Sacrifice also plays very few basics. So those are like the two established archetypes in the format where a Ghost Squatter in your opponent actually can come up and can be a reasonable plan. But against all of the other decks, you're just using Ghost Squatter to like Ghost Squatter yourself, basically to grow your knights a little bit more quickly. And it's possible that these Ghost Squatters should instead be Evolving Wilds to be basically just like bad Fable passages. But honestly, like the deck uses its mana so much that you very often you end up ghost squatting yourself to get the triggers, and you also want to use the mana, the land that you're getting untapped. Also the shuffle matters a lot as well, because we have cards like Oracle of Muldaya. This card is definitely an all-star in this deck. Another addition to the format through like whatever set that they used, but they released straight into Historic. Basically is it allows you to play extra lands, so it's basically like an Azusa, which we actually do have a single copy of here. But the very cool interaction is the fact that, just like Courser or Crufix, it allows you to play lands from the top of your deck. So Oracle of Muldaya represents ramp. It also represents card advantage, and like the good one, because we have access to cards like Escape to the Wilds. This is the big haymaker in the format. If I have like lands, like if I have like established my mana and everything, I don't really lose that many games where I get to resolve this card. Like you get to draw 5 cards, and then that's like effectively what you do. You get to ramp, and then you basically set up to do whatever the hell you want to do on the following turns. Like this card has been super impressive, and it is the best payoff in the format for this amount of mana in these colors. Obviously, there's the Timur Ultimatum, but we don't want to dip into blue. Just like Naya, basically this is a Failure Retreat deck, in Naya Retreat deck before it is an Escape to the Wilds deck. But like this card really works well with both Failure and Knight of the Reliquary. To help enable our ramp plan, we have access to a couple of Explorers and Lotus Cobra as well. These are how we get to play extra lands. We also, we get extra value from Escape to the Wilds. Explore or Oracle of Muldaya combined with Ramineb Excavator can be super powerful when you're combining it with Fabled Passage, or again, Ghost Squattering yourself. It's not that painful. It's not as painful as it seems like whenever you're just like playing a million lands and replaying them with Excavator, so no big deal there. Then we have a couple of the spell lands. That is Shatter Skull Smashing, which actually has been super impressive. One thing that is actually interesting is I was surprised when I found out about this interaction, but if you actually cast your Shatter Skull Smashing, then you like kill your opponent's dudes, and then if you have a Ramineb, you actually get to play the Shatter Skull Smashing from your graveyard. So that is something that actually does come up, and I have found myself in situations where I want to play the Shatter Skull Smashing from the top of my deck with an Oracle. So I put it into play, and then I Ghost Squatter myself in order to get the Shadow Skull Smashing back again. It's pretty cool. You get to that kind of nonsense. Same thing with Cassandra Mammoth. You play the 3/3, even though you play it as I find myself playing as a land like about like 70 or 80% of the time instead of the 3/3, because usually at 3 mana you have so much better stuff to be doing, right? But yeah, it's the same thing. Like you play Cassandra Mammoth, they kill it, and then you get to play it as a land with Ravenap later, which is pretty cool. Pretty nice interaction. When we go to the land base, you're going to see that we have, as I was saying, we have 9 basic lands. We also have 1 Stomping Ground, White Sacred Foundry, and 2 Temple Gardens. These are just for mana fixing purposes. We also have a couple of the green-white pathways. We see a split here because the damage sometimes does matter. So that's why we see a split there. And Fabled Passage, of course, is probably the best land in the deck. It is kind of like an enabler. It fixes our mana, which can become very, very important. For example, you see that we have 2 mountains, even though we're playing very little red. We only have Shadow Skull Smashing and Escape to the Wilds. But whenever you look at the sideboard, you're going to see that we have access to Upgrade and Anger of the Gods. So particularly, you want to make sure that you can consistently cast Anger on turns 2 or 3. And that has been like a pretty good upgrade. The second basic mountain, that is, I was just playing one before. Whenever we go to look at the utility lands, we have access to Bog, very, very important against Uro decks, very important against the combo decks, the Emery combo deck. That has been very, very cool. And it has been just overall randomly effective against a bunch of decks, like the Rakdos Sacrifice, against the whole loop with the cat, against the Arcanist deck, which is one very, very good deck in the format. So Bojuki Boga has been pretty good. Whenever you naturally draw it, it feels pretty awful, but it's fine. Radiant Fountain is definitely very important against the aggressive decks, and you can do the stuff that I was saying earlier, where you go squat your Radiant Fountain and then you replay it with Raminap in order to get like value. You can like build your own bounce land against Dagger. No, you know what I'm saying? It's a pretty weird thing, but it does come up. It does come up and it's effective. So Go Squatter, I just showed a couple of the little synergies. Lotus Field seems kind of awkward here. And it is in some situations, but something that I have figured out with Lotus Field is that basically it enables Reclaimer by itself without costing you a land drop, which has been pretty cool. So basically, if you have 3 lands in play, what I'm trying to say is you have 3 lands in play, you spend 2 mana and you sack a land, even if you don't have any land in the graveyard, that's fine. You spend 2 mana and you sack a land to play, to activate your Reclaimer's ability, you search for Lotus Field, and then you sacrifice your other 2 lands, and you end up with a Lotus Field, but with 3 lands in the graveyard, which is exactly what you need in order to enable a Reclaimer. So this interaction has come up a bunch. I'm not convinced that this card is a staple of the format, but of the deck, sorry. But it has come up enough that I'm like, this seems okay. Like I'm happy having the one-off. This is definitely the biggest flex slot in the deck. Like out of all the cards in the deck, if I were to cut one for to test a new card, it would probably be the Lotus Field. But it does have some uses and it does have a reason for being there. Crawling Burns is particularly good against Planeswalker decks because it is a land that is really hard for your opponents to interact with, that actually allows you to pressure opposing Planeswalkers. So this comes up against blue-white control and decks like that, where they play the Fae or something, and then what you get to do is whenever they are they're countering all your stuff or whatever, but then you are putting counters on your Crawling Burns, and eventually whenever you need to, you can take down a Teferi or something like that. So the one of Coral Burr has been pretty solid. Blast Zone, excellent against the aggressive strategies, and sometimes you just simply, I think I've the other day I was playing against Blue Eye Control again, and I was able to like tick up a Blast Zone all the way up to 5, and I killed a Baneslayer Angel, an Esper Conquer's Death, and a 5-mana Teferi. So obviously I don't need to explain why Blast Zone is great. And finally we have the probably the one-off land that I have been the most impressed with. Arch just really takes over in the long game. 5 mana is it's a steep cost. 5 mana is a steep cost, but I haven't had that much trouble casting the card. and casting the card, I mean activating the ability, and the City's Blessing just gets turned out so easily with Felidar Retreat. Like it's not even funny how quickly you turn on the City's Blessing whenever you have Felidar Retreat in play, particularly when you have access to fetch lands and stuff. Lotus Field is a little bit of a numbo with Archer for Aska. I am very well aware of this, and you know it kind of is what it is. But again, I think that the Arch has been an all-star and probably the land that I god damn it. This is why I don't arena. It's just not practical. I can't drag. But the Arch has been very, very impressive. It has allowed me to like keep up with card advantage with control decks and stuff like that. So super excited about this card, and probably the one that I fetch for the most in the mid to late game. When we move over to the sideboard, this is of course very, very experimental. Again, I unfortunately don't get to play this format so much, but what we have is Grafdigger's Cage. This is probably the best cyborg card in the format, as I understand. It targets the Goblins deck, it targets a bunch of decks in the format, the Rakdos Sack, etc. So Grafdigger's Cage, a Braid as removal as well as artifact removal, and now with the uprising of the current deck, the combo deck with Udo and stuff, a Braid and artifact removal has become a lot more important. So we have some copies of a Braid, we have some Anger of the Gods against aggro mostly, so against like red-green aggro, against all of the mono-red decks, against the Collected Company decks. This card has been very, very impressive. This is probably my best cyber card. Shifting Ceratops has been an all-star as well against control, and it's nice at attacking through Nissa lands, which is kind of nice. And whenever you have like Felidar Retreat plus Shifting Ceratops going, it's kind of insane. Like you just grow the Ceratops to be huge, and then your opponent basically has a lot of trouble answering it. They can answer it with like I think exactly Maelstrom Pulse or like a Fatal Push or something, but they don't play that many answers to Ceratops, and obviously they can't counter it, and once it's in play they can't even either gust it, so that's pretty sweet. A couple of Yasharn, this card is actually surprisingly important in this format specifically, and we're playing green and white, so it's no surprise that we're playing Rush Yasharn. It has some pretty good uses against goblins, and it's mostly against all the sacrifice decks, Arcanist decks, etc. This card has been also very, very impressive. Being able to fetch for your basics is also not a minor detail. And finally, the last card is just like an overall amazing beater in Elder Gargaroth. I was considering playing Baneslayer Angel instead, because of Aethergas specifically, but like this card is just so much better, like on rate, on numbers, and on abilities. So I'm like, yeah, sure, like gust my Gargaroth, whatever. But against the aggro decks, like I think I'd much rather resolve an Elder Gargaroth than I would resolve a Baneslayer Angel, particularly against the Embercleave decks, where sometimes if they have like a 5/5 dude, if they have a 4/4 that they staple an Embercleave to it, like Baneslayer doesn't really do too much. So Gargaroth actually gains the life anyway, which is it can be a big deal. All right, sweet. So I hope you enjoyed this little deck. Hope I didn't go for too long. But I'm gonna be playing one match so you get like a feel of the deck, and hopefully we get to see the deck do some cool stuff. So let's try it out, and hope you like it. See you later. Hello and welcome, folks. We're gonna try out some historic Naya Reclaimer. Let's see how this is so close. Oh, those feel really awkward here. This is a lot better. Let's keep 6. Let's bottom the Azusa because we don't have enough lands to leverage her. Probably gonna just fetch for just a forest. Growth Spiral. Didn't need to do this, but I'm just F6ing. Sagoth Triumph. So we're probably talking about the Sultai deck. Best deck in the format. Might be familiar with it. Can we find a land off the top? If we find a fetch land, that would be really, really exciting. The Mr. Land drop. They should probably take the Explorer here. They do take the Explorer. I'm playing into the Sweeper, but it feels like at this point, if I'm going to be able to catch up, okay. I don't think we can win anymore. This is actually, I consider this to be a pretty solid matchup. They really struggle to beat Feather Retreat. So I don't think we want this. Don't want this. But we just want the Gargoyle. Oh shit! The Ceratops are pretty fine. That's about it. Just playing Ceratops. Reclaimer is actually pretty good in this matchup because fetching Bujukibog to take care of Uro is relevant. Let's do this. The other guy, I don't like it so much. It just gets countered by Disdainful Stroke. That's Elder Gargoth. It gets countered by Disdainful Strokes. Gets countered by Gust. 5 mana and then just gets gusted. It's not where you want to be. But I think that this matchup is overall fine. I've been beating it more than I've been losing to it. It's probably a fair way of putting it. Alright. See if we can get a reasonable draw here. Man, if we had hit that land drop, we would have kind of been able to do a lot of stuff there. Ugh. Man, these hands are just brutal. I'm gonna keep it, but I'm not excited at all about it. Yep. The most annoying thing about Arena to me is the fact that this is supposed to be an F6, except that it's not an F6. Like if I just do this right here, whenever my opponent plays something, it just kind of goes on the stack, which is kind of awful. It fits the purpose. So we get to Lotus Field here. Maybe my opponent will... Maybe they will tail send my Lotus Field. That would be nice. No tail send. Okay, so this turn... Oh, they missed the... Oh, no, they didn't miss the land drop. Never mind. There's a Narset. Narset doesn't really do too much. It just basically draws cards, but not that big of a deal. Definitely going to Oracle here. And... we have 2 cards in the yard. I'm going to hold on to this Majuka Ball, I think. Our hand's pretty solid, though. Aether Gust. Okay. Oodah. No need to fetch here. I think Explorer is a fine card to draw, and if my opponent wants to gust this, then we are actually very happy. So let's fetch first. Probably gonna find a green source here. Nice. I don't want to shift in Ceratops in the face of this thing, so I think I'm just gonna attack here. My opponent is gusting. And I guess I want to put this on top, so I'm just gonna fetch here for a green source so we can escape to the wilds. So we're gonna put this on top and take action. And now we escape to the wilds. And I guess we're playing a bog to exile. Now they have 2 lands, so... One, two, three, four, five, 6, 7. Yeah, I guess I want to play it now because next turn it's gonna be it's gonna be entering tapped, and I definitely want to be playing Bog. So we're gonna get to do a lot of stuff this coming turn, though. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Probably gonna fill out a retreat plus Oracle. Okay. Yeah, retreat plus Oracle seems like the best option. It runs into extinction event, but it also means the my opponent needs to exile their own lands. So that's probably fine with me. So let's retreat. Let's play a land. Make it 2/2. It's Oracle. Let's play this land. Make another 2/2. Pass it through. So my opponent's probably going to extinction event, then make their land into a dude. And then we can shift in Ceratops. Oh, wait, what? That's a mistake. So now they're gonna exile their own land. Oh, they're just gonna Crisis for 1 million. So they do have the sweeper. Ooh, that's interesting. We can't draw that. Unless we escape. Spawn is holding up Gust and other nonsense. The problem is if they counter this, we're actually in a lot of trouble. So let's do this. Yeah, they have something. They obviously have something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you also have Gust? So we can give this haste. So if we attack with, I guess we attack with everything. Because they have to chump the Ceratops with the land. Because this has Pro Blue, so they can't block it with the Crassus. That brings the Nissa down to 3, sorry. It's not a lethal attacker though. I think my opponent is just going to attack and they're just going to sweep. Like, this is just too good for them not to sweep. That means that they spend 4 mana and they exile the Crassus. Also, if they exile the Crassus, that means that we don't take 3. If they yeah, so they're just gonna exile. Extinction event, clear everything. Good old Uro can come back. But if they don't have an answer to this Escape to the Wilds, I might be in fine shape. They did shock though. Please, no answer to this. Thought this is fine. They have perfect info, so. Holding up Triumph though. One, two, three, four, and 5. Okay. Did they top deck it? Do they have it? They don't have it. Okay, how much mana do we got? Yeah, I guess we have to do this. So we play the land. We don't get to draw a card. So we get a 2/2. Then we play this tapped. Put some counters. Then we're gonna give this haste. And this is gonna swing at Nissa. We still have a surprise trigger / surprise token. A surprise +1/+1 counter or surprise token, depending on what we want. I would love to not have to use that though, because that means that I get to have the Ghost Quarter to shuffle for the Oracle. Uro is chump attacking into the Ceratops here. It doesn't do anything. That's so many Narsets. Okay. Shark Typhoon. How pro blue? Hardcast Typhoon. Doesn't quite work defensively, but it could work offensively. They can also chump attack and then they chump attack, but they get to replay it. If they have to replay it though, they have to tap their blue. Okay, yeah. Which means that we get to clear the Nissa. At this point, they might have another Nissa, but... And this is like what I was saying earlier about the vigilance from Fellow Retreat actually having been very, very important. Actually, we have reach too. It's kind of sick. Sure, you got mine out of the reliquary. One, two, three, 4. Oracle. Land. 2/2. Land. Counters. That's actually a pretty good land to draw even. So this goes at Nissa. So I'm gonna uptick on that on the blast zone, I think. I'm gonna blow it up on 3. Second shark is scary. This Ceratops though is working overtime here. Shark Typhoon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mana is what I have. So I can bring this up to 6. Is that true? They bog me, sure. Four, 5, 6, 7. What am I counting? 4, 6, 8, 10. Feels like I'm gonna die in the air. So we put 5 counters on this. Good, good, good. Put some counters. And let's move to combat. Attack Nissa. Give this trample. Definitely have to blow this up right now. Sharks down. And I have enough blocker, so I guess there's no need for me to play the land. I'm gonna save it for Lotus Cobra. I'm just gonna end the turn. So I'm probably gonna double block on the Euro, and I'm going to block the big shark. Sure. Sure. Thoughtseize resolves. Reach, baby, reach. They're setting up lethal over 2 turns, though. I don't understand why they wouldn't attack with the shark, though. I'm gonna try to do something crazy. I think I'm gonna try to attempt to figure out if I can set up lethal. Take action. All right. Maybe, just maybe. Nope. Oh, actually, oh, they have negate. So now they're gonna negate. It taps their breeding pool. I don't know how much that does. We are 1 mana short though. Oh, I guess I should have 2, 3. Take action. I'm going to go squatter here. So I guess we can gain some life. Probably not gonna. Maybe if we can put enough blockers, enough counters, it might matter. Unfortunate. So we can make this a 12-12. We block here. We take 5. So brutal. We might have actually been able to set up lethal though. If trample. Yeah, we're just dead. It's kind of unfortunate if you think about it. 2, 3, 4. So they're probably going to chump with Udo, chump with token. I guess they don't even have to. Crisis blocks the Oracle. This gets blocked by the 1/1. I guess we're 1 land drop off. This feels like a game that I actually could have won. I feel like I made at least one mistake along the way. And whatever that mistake was ended up costing me. But this definitely feels like a winnable game. 1000%. 1000%. Feels like one of the, like one of those decks that was one of those games that was just like lost by an extremely tiny margin. So it feels like there's something that I should have been able to do differently that would have actually turned this loss into a win. We were 1 land drop short. Like if I had been able to get, because we're dying. Like obviously I'm gonna die to the crisis now, but like if we were dying to the shark, like I could have played differently to make it so I can block here. I guess that this tramples, so maybe I'm just crazy. Might want to just throw away the game. Just have removal. Just getting slow rolled here. Just have another crisis. All right. Yeah, at this point I'm just too far behind. This has been a fetch, maybe? Because they're just gonna make another Nisa token. Another Nisa land, sorry. Yeah, crazy game. Super close game. Super close game. It feels like there was something I could have done to turn that attack into lethal, or to set up a situation where I just don't lose to the crisis. Even though my opponent kind of gave me a shot there, but like they just drew too many cards. I mean, they just did those soul die things. So anyway, that was a cool match though. I enjoyed that match a lot. We'll be back for another one though. Fear not. See you there. All right, welcome to another match with this beautiful pile of cards. I'm gonna keep this hand. This actually seems quite strong. So it's one of the hands where Mammoth is just gonna be better off as a land. So I'm just gonna lead on Mammoth. And depending on what my opponent's doing, like this hand is really strong. Fetch lands in combinations with Lotus Cover and Field Retreat are what this deck thrives on, so. Temple of Malice. The Arcanist deck, I would assume. We can Oracle here, or we can Felder Retreat. Okay, just sacrifice. So I think I'm gonna Felder Retreat. This just gets my engine going. Opponent doesn't block. We're gonna make a lot of tokens though. Sure. Okay. Double Familiar is kind of annoying. Options. So I think I'm gonna try to save the life. And I think I'm gonna Oracle. No draw. Feels bad, man. Step, we're gonna make another 2/2. We're just gonna infest the battlefield with 2/2s. There's not that huge of a difference between a 2/2 and a 3/3 in this matchup. And main deck Rex Sage. Oh, because people are playing main deck Cage. I imagine that's why. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a great one to see there. Bonus is nice. It is nice. Thank you for noticing. We're probably gonna do this. Explore. Hopefully we'll find land. Fetch land would be ideal. But I'm never lucky, so. If opponent wants to trade, I'm okay with that. I'm gonna suck one of the blocked ones. It's nice that at least they wasted the mana. Definitely nice that they wasted the mana. Trail of Crumbs. Okay, that's potentially a problem. Gonna knight, gonna land, counters, land, counters. Then we Asusa. I guess I went Oracle instead of Asusa. Sack here. See if we can get a little bit more value here. Nice. Counters. Bog you. Counters. That was a pretty good Bajuka Ball, gotta say. We have some free attacks here. So unless they draw exactly the devil, we should be fine. Select the smaller one. Okay. So we're probably going to be in okay shape here. Hardcast Familiar. We have a Radiant Fountain, so I'm not too worried about just like straight up dying. Another Oven. Oh, you have to be kidding me that this is exactly lethal. On the turn before I stabilize. Wow, yeah, because they get to sack with the priest. Oh my. This is brutal. Because Knight gains life next turn, so we get out of range. Wow. Xaxis. Feels bad, man. Feels bad, man. I have a lot of cyber cards in the matchup, and usually my opponent's deck struggles against the Resolvia Shard. Now they started playing the Noxious, whatever. The 1 black, 1 colorless sorcery. Instant, sorry. So it's... They have a couple more answers than normal, but still okay. My opponent taking so long, they obviously don't know how to sideboard against the Naya Reclaimer deck. I don't know. I don't know what people are doing these days. Just not being prepared for the Naya Reclaimer matchup. Terrible. There we go. Let's be on the play. Thank you very much. Sand is very slow. Sand is very slow. But if we manage to find like a good Oracle, good set of Oracle draws, it could be okay. Thoughtseize, which is open. So I'm gonna play the Cage because I'm playing around with Thoughtseize, and like this effectively answers the Oven. Like it's not actually answering the Oven, but it kind of does. Okay. Blow that up. Guess I should have done it on their upkeep. Yeah, definitely should have done it in their upkeep. I really doubt that my opponent can afford to play Blast Zone, so I'm not going to play around Blast Zone. Oof, Pig sounds great. Pig sounds really, really good. 1 top, 0 bottom. Now the question is, what happens if... Like, do I care more about this escape to the wells than this pig? Is my question. I think I might. So let's draw land. Let's draw land. Yeah, I just think the pig is great. Like, my opponent kind of has to answer it before they can do anything else, so their turn is kind of going to be tied up there. Ooh. Ooh, don't mind if I do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if my opponent doesn't answer the Oracle here, I think that we're gonna win. Strider's fine. Priest also fine. 1, 2, 3, 4. This thing. Play this. Make a cat. Play this. Make another cat. Cast this one. Whoo! Go squatter. Grow the dudes. Pig's too valuable. We're not gonna attack with it. Force my opponent to find an answer. But now my opponent's entire deck is just blanked. Rex Sage. Probably gonna blow up the Felidar Retreat, which means that both the cage and the other thing remain here. I think we just got them locked, I think. The only thing I guess they can't even sack the food, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, whoops. Tapped wrong. Doesn't matter. Bog doesn't do anything. So let's play this. Let's make tokens. Now let's grow the dudes. Grow the dudes. Explore. Make token. Draw a make token. So much stuff going on here. I've totally lost track of what we're doing. I think this anger is gonna get exiled. I think I'm too high of a life total, and the fact that I have this double cage probably guarantees that I can't really lose. Like, I'm not 100% sold on the fact that the pig is gonna make it, but one, two, three, four. Second retreat. Opponent has seen enough. All right, sweet. So just found the answer. Just get some lock pieces and go nuts. Scott Excavator, and let's bring in another Oracle. In fact, that's probably what I should do in this matchup. Excavator is just such good value, so I'm always afraid of going down to 0 Excavators, but in this matchup probably just Oracle is better, particularly because it cannot get yeah, let's keep it in. It cannot get what's his name? The card that steals your 3-drop. Claim the first one. Usually somebody in chat just shows up. Whenever streaming, somebody in chat just goes and says, claim the first one. No such luck here. I guess I have to play passage on one, which is super awkward, but like this is not gonna enter untapped for a while because I'm planning on playing the Lotus Field on turn 2 here. Of course they have Owen. Negative Forest is gonna get sacked anyway. It's a good one. Honestly, that's a really sick engine. That's a really, really good engine. So they don't know about the anger. Whoa, Strider. Let's draw a couple of cards. I think I can get more value from this anger. There we go. Oh, please sack to the oven. Please sack to the... Yes. I guess that doesn't really do anything. No, it does. Yeah, I guess they could have done it. They could have done it anyway. So we're just gonna get pinged for 2. My opponent's gonna scry twice. Huh. Okay, so they choose to maximize on damage. I guess they didn't see what you bought, so that's why they're doing this. But they don't get to sack the Woe Strider because the oven is now tapped. I guess they sack it to the Phyrexian Towers, never mind. Yeah, this is like the one Dumbo in the deck, unfortunately. Yikes, they shocked. That's a good one. Is that one not so good? Shatter Skull Smashing might do some stuff next turn. We already used our Radiant Fountain, so we have to watch out for that. They can eat their own dudes only. They're eating my lands right now for no reason. So we can... His opponent's not getting back their thingy. How big can they do the guy? They can only grow for 1, so it's gonna be 1, 2, 3 to play a second knight. And this can now get Bojuka Bog, which is gonna be pretty huge here. So let's play this. It's a green source. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we need to kill this for 4. Submit 1, 4 damage, auto pay. So they're gonna sack Witch's Oven. Probably. Maybe eat something before they go. I mean, nothing they eat matters. They eat their dude, okay? I know they should sack to Oven. Now in response to them activating, we sack this. And we go get Bog. Got him. Oh no! I got myself actually. I'm an idiot. I guess. Yeah. I guess I could have prevented this. Okay. I forgot that they would make a bigger food, and I was rightfully punished. Brutal. Rightfully punished by my mistake. The worst feeling. No. See. I think we have to blow up the oven here. So we get pinged. Wow. Okay. It's gonna ping me for 1. One, 2, 3, 4. So we're gonna draw a card here. I guess I want to set up lethal next turn. So 1, 2, 3. Now, do we want to activate here, or do we want to? They should just let it go. Huh. Okay, we go down to 3. I guess not a 2. Yeah, I feel like I want to draw a card. They're out of food though. They are out of food, so there are 22. There are 22, and we can make this into a... No, I think I have to draw. Oof. Oh shit. It's a good top deck. That is a pretty good top deck. Those are some pretty good top decks. Sound top decks from my opponent right there. Sound top decks feels bad, man. Yeah, we just cannot deal enough damage. Yeah, you can't block opponents. Wow, I can't believe my opponent just top deck that set of cards. That is absolutely insane. I can't believe they top deck that. Well, I guess I lose. Wow. They gave me the nice little GGs. Wow, I can't believe we got top decked like that. I can't believe we got top decked like that. Is there any other card that wins them the game? Because we have Yasharn, like we're basically beating everything else. Like that's literally the only card that they can draw. Mayhem Devil doesn't do anything. Because I can just not enable it, right? If I just don't sack anything, my opponent can't sack anything either. I just feel so. Alright, we got to do some good stuff though. We didn't do too much winning, but it showed like a little bit of what the deck is capable of, and it showed, like against like we were probably gonna be fine against that if my opponent didn't top deck literally exactly Corvo. Like that's the only card that matters in their entire deck. So we just got a little bit out top decked there, but we did get a little bit of showcasing what the deck is capable of. I think it's the deck is very underexplored, and I feel like that engine, particularly, whoops, we got some stuff. The Fellow Retreat has been very impressive for me, and Escape to the Wilds as well. So I feel like this deck, or like this kind of engine basically, is very underexplored, and I feel like this deck might not be built the best it can be. As I said in the deck, like Reclaimer is kind of like a poor man's Naya Reclaimer, with this the direct opposite of the case in modern, but is the best of Flagstones, right? Flagstones is the card that changes everything. Lotus Field has been kind of awkward. Maybe I shouldn't be playing this again. Like I explained my reasoning for running the card, but maybe it's just we had to mulligan a couple of cards where a couple of hands with like any other land would have been just fine. So maybe we should be playing maybe some extra Temple Gardens or some extra Stomping Grounds and stuff. More Azusa's is an option. I think that for Arcros is kind of written in stone. This card is one of the best cards in the main deck. Like all three of these cards are kind of like the engine that holds the deck together. And Night of the Lockery, it's really powerful as well in this deck. I actually have been having a lot of fun with the format. There are a couple of things that are like, there's like Moxes, like that's like the only, like the Goblins deck is the only thing that I'm just like, it's just like spinning the wheel, and I have not enjoyed playing against Goblins. But like all of the other matchups, like we saw, like when we got paired against Sultai, it was pretty fun. Lots of interactions, and even after my opponent like snowballed with multiple Nissas, multiple Narsets, multiple sweepers, we still almost were able to stabilize, even in the face of all of that nonsense, because Fellow Retreat is just so powerful. So hope you enjoyed it. I think that I will continue to play this deck and I will continue to tune it, and hopefully it will be better the next time that you see a video from me. But I hope you enjoy this kind of content. Of course, I would appreciate to hear your feedback and your ideas. Maybe it's like you don't like it, I'll still take it. But if you can help me out, to improve my content, I would always love that. So have an amazing rest of your day. Take care, and I'll see you around. Bye bye.